Hello friends, welcome you all to this lecture on market segmentation. In this session, we are going to understand the concept of market segmentation and its need in integrated marketing communication. We will find out the benefits of market segmentation to both the company and the consumers. It is also to gain a comprehensive understanding of the various ways to segment the markets. So, to begin with, we all know that an advertising campaign is essentially for a predefined target audience, and to do so, we follow the segmentation, targeting and positioning model. That is market segmentation and then identifying the target segment known as targeting, and positioning meaning finding the unique perceptual space for a brand in the minds of the prospective buyers. So, right after understanding the consumer needs and motivations, we get set to segment the market. That leads us to the fundamental question as to why do we need to segment the market at all? Earlier, markets were undifferentiated and the practice of mass marketing was followed. Mass marketing involves developing the product for all without taking into account the differences between the audiences. But then it's very challenging for the product to suit everyone and survive in the market. On the other hand, marketeers cannot cater to individual needs of each consumer as well. Hence, segmenting the market becomes a prudent option, allowing it to create specialized products for specialized groups. So, what do we mean by market segmentation then? Market segmentation is the process of dividing the market into distinct groups of buyers with different needs, characteristics, or behaviors. Let's look at this example of Horlicks. Horlicks, the nutritional brand, comes up with different product variants for women, for pregnant women. There is Horlicks Lite for people who are fitness conscious or health conscious, and then you have Horlicks Juniors as well. So this entire product portfolio of Horlicks presents to the consumer different kinds of products for different segmented markets. Now, what are the various benefits of market segmentation? We all know that both customers and company benefit immensely from market segmentation. To the customers, there are two main benefits. A, it provides greater choice of products and services to the customer. It is more targeted and there is hardly any waste of energy on the part of the consumer to pick if it is provided to a segmented audiences. Secondly, the products or services, they closely match the needs of the consumers. Again, it helps in saving energy, money and time. To the company as well, there are significant advantages. A, it helps in identification of the buying prospect. It helps the company to identify the prospective buyer as to who is likely to use, consume or buy this product. It also leads to better understanding of consumer needs and wants. Everyone will have specific needs or problems. Segmentation identifies different customer segments and their preferences. By knowing it, you can provide a customized solution. So by doing segmentation, it becomes easy to retain your customers. Thirdly, effective communication reach is also established. It is very important to communicate to the right buyers in an effective way. Sending a message to mass will not help you as it might just lose its importance. By segmentation, you get to know your audience as well, their media preferences, their consumption habits, which will help you reach the message through the right medium. Value creation. As a result of market segmentation, businesses can develop a better understanding of the dynamics of the smaller market segments as well as the larger consumer market segments. This allows businesses in making informed decisions with respect to the deliverances of their products and services. Also, it provides competitive edge to the organizations since market segmentation is considered as a facilitator towards identification of specialized segments and their respective needs, and as elaborated earlier, it helps businesses in offering goods and services in accordance with the consumer demands. Consequently, through market segmentation, businesses are able to fulfill these needs and requirements and attain a competitive edge over others. It also leads to optimal utilization of budget and higher profits. By segmenting the markets, we understand the price strategy better, and that leads to increasing the profitability of the business and optimal utilization of budget without much waste in haste. So once we understand various aspects or advantages to both the consumer and the corporate organization of segmenting the markets, it is time to now look at various types of market segmentation. So, there are 4 types of segmentation strategies on the basis of measurability, accessibility, sustainability and actionability. And those 4 types of market segmentations are the geographic segmentation, the demographic segmentation, the behavioral segmentation and the psychographic segmentation. Let's look at geographic segmentation first. Location plays a vital role in defining the needs of individual geographic areas. In geographic segmentation, the market is divided on the basis of geographic location of the consumer, that is nations, states, regions, counties, cities and villages. It helps in localizing the products, advertising and sales effort as per the geographic uniqueness. Marketeers also study the population density or the regional climate as factors of geographic segmentation. Here is an example of geographic segmentation of the McDonald's advertisement. This ad for Maharaja Mac is created for the Indian audiences, wherein the global burger chain has created an ad exclusively for the Indian taste palette. Next, we move on to the second type of segmentation, which is called as the demographic segmentation. Demographic segmentation means to segregate a market on the basis of population variables or socio-economic variables such as age, education, income, family size, race, gender, occupation, nationality, etc. Demographic segmentation is one of the most commonly used forms of classifying audiences because the products and services we buy and how we use these products and how much are we willing to spend on them are all measurable aspects and can be gathered easily through demographic segmentation. The 3 advertisements shown in this slide are examples of demographic segmentation. In the Always advertisement, you have girls from various age groups featuring in the advertisement. The LIC Smriddhi Plus is targeted at Indian urban families or parents with young children. In this advertisement, the demographic segment of nuclear families has been taken into consideration. The third ad for Godrej soap is targeted at older women, women in the senior age group category. So let's now look at all the socio-economic subcategories in the demographic segmentation. The first subcategory is age. Classifying audiences on the basis of age is most profound. It is usually done by using age cohorts. Now we have certain categories of age cohorts which are extensively used for demographic profiling. First category is the baby boomers. Baby boomers were the children of the post-World War II era. It is the liberal market economy wherein consumption was on the rise and families expanded and there was a baby boom. Baby boomers were born between 1944 and 1964. At present, they are in the age group of 54 to 74. And in the current age classifications, especially in India, they also refer to as Gen S or Generation Senior Citizens. A brand like Patanjali has successfully targeted this Gen S age group. Next in line is the Gen X age cohort. This term was coined by Charles Hamlet and Jane Deverson, wherein they were originally referring to the teenage years of the baby boomers. Gen X was born between 1965 to 1979, which make them currently in the age group of 39 to 53. In our country, they are the age group of Gen P, that is Generation Prime. Lot of brands, especially slow-moving consumer goods and luxury items, target this particular age cohort. Moving on to the next age cohort, we have the Gen Y. Gen Y was identified by William Strauss and Neil Hoare as those graduating from high schools in the year 2000. They were also called the eco-boomers. Gen Y are also commonly known as millennials and are born between 1980 to 1994. They are currently in the age group of 24 to 38 and they are the millennial audiences. They are targeted by most brands, telecommunication brands, mobile handsets, technology brands and the FMCG categories along with personal category, that is cosmetics brand as well. Moving on to the last age cohort in the discussion, that is Gen Z. Gen Z is the current name for age cohort born from mid-1990s. It is the age group that is grown in the communication technology environment and we also know them as digital natives. Alternatively, they also referred to as iGen, Sentinels and Postmillennials. Gen Z is the newest generation and they were born between 1995 to 2015. Again, they are targeted for a lot of product categories in personal care, in FMCGs as well as in consumer durables. Let's now move on to the important category of gender-based segmentation. Classifying products and buying prospects as male and female has been a long established practice in marketing communications. Most products use gender binaries, more often not paying heed to the alternative sexual identities like LGBTQ. In fact, I do not recall any ad which is being targeted as transgenders or the queer community from either the FMCG or the slow-moving consumer good category in recent times. In fact, Vicks VapoRub, in its Touch of Care campaign, featured the story of a transgender mother, Gauri Sawant, though it was not particularly targeted at transgenders. It was meant for all kinds of audiences. A lot of products are segmented on the lines of gender, especially clothes, jewelry, stores, cars, household commodities, personal care items, to name a few. If you look at the Masti condom ads, especially the Man of Match campaign released during the IPL 2017, it targets small-time married men who are good at work and at home, that is, they're all-rounders, to establish the act of sex as an equal agency. Now, if you pay attention to the second advertisement, this is a Fair and Lovely advertisement clearly targeted at women, whereas the third ad, the Rajnigandha Pan Masala advertisement, which says "Kuch kar aisa duniya bane tere jaisa," are targeting only men. After understanding gender-based segmentation, it is time to look at the other socio-economic variables, the family life cycle. In India, the family life cycle is a critical demographic subset. Family life cycle is the phases through which a family passes from its formation to the end. There are three types of family setups. Nuclear family means a husband and a wife along with their children, whereas an extended family means a nuclear family together with their grandparents. A joint family includes many extended families tied by blood staying together. The Tata Sky Jingalala ad uses the joint family continuum, whereas the Dairy Milk chocolate advertisements explore the extended family continuum in the family life cycle. Next, we move on to income-based segmentation. Income categories like low middle class, upper middle class and affluent are critical to target a rational consumer. At times, a blanket class, the middle class is perennially targeted. Brands are adopting various line extension strategies based on income-based segmentation. For example, you have low price variants by chips, by chocolates, by toothpaste, which are targeting at low income classes. Whereas an Onida 29-inch television advertisement says, strictly for rich and famous, illustrating the income and social class-based segmentation in Indian advertising. Next, we move on to marital status. Products are trying to find customized audiences right from the development stage in the life cycle. Therefore, grouping prospective buyers on the basis of their marital status means creating classes like singles, newly married couples, single parents, dual income couples, divorced couples, and married parents. It gives a clear idea of the needs and demands of a household. For example, a recent Uber Eats campaign targets singles in their campaign Everyday Moments. Similarly, Tata Luxury Flats targets dual income married groups for their high-end real estate products. Next in line is education. Levels of education like school going, college going, university inhabitants, formal or no formal education forms the classes for both niche products like data packs, telecommunication services and mobile handsets. Last but not the least is employment. Employment categories like self-employed, public sector or government employee, private employee not only segments the audiences for good but also aids the service sector. Financial products like banking schemes and hospitality packages are created especially catering to these exclusive employment categories. Another aspect of segmentation on the basis of employment is the type of employment, that is permanent, contractual or daily wage. This is especially relevant in the FMCG category, which targets to create a price or volume or size combination like Chota Packs or Choti Pepsi and Coke. After geographic and demographic segmentation, another important type of market segmentation is the behavioral segmentation. Behavioral segmentation organizes the consumer market on purchase-related factors. It involves dividing the market with respect to the buying behavior, consumption, and usage patterns. For example, the younger buyers may tend to purchase body wash, whereas the older consumer groups may lean towards soap bars. Behaviorally, markets can be segmented into 4 subcategories. First category is the benefit sort. It is also referred to as the benefit segmentation by the marketeers. It involves categorizing consumers on the basis of the advantage they seek from the product. Benefits include rational and emotional benefits like quality, durability, economy, prestige, fitness, status, sexual pleasure, sensory pleasure, etc. Orth, McDaniel and colleagues gave 5 types of benefits: functional benefits, value for money, social benefits, positive emotional benefits and negative emotional benefits in this kind of segmentation. After benefit segmentation, we have the purchase occasion. It entails determining the segments based on the usage situation. Buying prospects are classified upon why they are buying or making a purchase depending upon their likelihood of use. They can be classified as regular buyers or the special occasion buyers. Purchase occasion takes into account the seasonal concentration of a good or a service, its frequency of use and the emergence of any new trend or fad. This segmentation allows the manufacturer to develop seasonal consumer incentives aimed at the right target segment. Next, we have user status. Markets can be segmented on the basis of who is the user. It entails grouping of prospective buyers on the basis of their attributes as a user of a brand. That is the kind of user he or she is. You can be sole users, people who are consistent with their brand choice. They like to use a particular brand and they stick to it. They are brand loyalists. You can be a semi-sole user. That is, people who have a clear-cut brand preference, but in case the preferred choice is not available, they buy or consume an alternative product. They can be influenced through promotional efforts by a competing brand. You can also be a discount user. Now, discount users do not have a preference for your brand. In fact, they are semi-sole users of your competing brand. However, if you offer attractive discounts, they are likely to use, try or buy your product. You can also be an aware non-trier. That is, when you try several options in the same product categories, but you have not developed a preference. You keep on switching from one brand to another. You're also known as a brand hopper. Besides that, you can be rejectors, are the ones who made a decision after triers, or rejectors are the ones who made a decision against the product after trying it. And then you can also be the repertoire users. Repertoire users develop liking for 2 or more brands in the same category and tend to use or buy both at different points in time. They keep on fluctuating between the 2 brands based on their needs and desires at that point in time. Last in the category are the usage rates. Usage rates mean the frequency or the quantum of use. It is also called as volume segmentation. Prospects can be grouped as heavy users, people who use product in bulk proportions or quite a lot. Medium users use products frequently but not all the time. They are less frequent in their purchase as compared to heavy users. Then we can have also light users, wherein people use products sporadically or once a while. The frequency of their use is quite less. You can also have non-users, the group of consumers who do not subscribe to the use or consumption of their product category. For example, non-smokers for a particular cigarette brand. Last, but a very important way of market segmentation is psychographic segmentation. Psychographic segmentation takes into account the psychological aspects of consumer behavior by dividing the market according to lifestyle, personality traits, values, opinions, and interests of the consumers. It is about grouping people on the basis of whether they are creative or critical thinkers, whether somebody is a sports fan, a dog lover, someone who enjoys holidaying, is thrifty in nature, likes classical music or rock or punk, values family bonds, etc. Large markets like the fitness market uses psychographic segmentation when they sort their customers into categories of people who care about healthy living and exercise. Psychographically, consumers can be segmented on the basis of their AIOS. A is activities, I is interests, and OS is opinions. Now, AIOS in combination with demographic segmentation is widely used by Indian brands. Activities can be described as how one spends his or her time. That is, what are the hobbies? What are the social events you go to? Where do you go for a vacation? Whether you like a vacation or not? What are your entertainment choices? Are you a member of a club? Whether you belong to a particular community or not, whether you engage with the community or not, what are your shopping habits, etc. Interests include whether a person's priorities and preferences lie in family, home, job, recreation, what are your food choices, how do you look at fashion, what are your media preferences, and what are the achievements you have. On the other hand, opinions mean how one feels about variety of political issues, social issues like health, education, employment, about themselves, and also about what's happening in the world of economy and business, what is happening with regards to various products, concepts of materialism, consumption, culture, and also what is your take on future and technology. So like I said, AIS in combination with demographic segmentation is hugely popular in the Indian brandscape. But no conversation on psychographic segmentation is complete without the WALS model. The WALS model was developed by Arnold Mitchell at SRI International in USA. It classifies audiences into 8 groups on the basis of attitude, beliefs, and personality. The segregation takes into account 3 audience motivations, that is ideals, achievement, and self-expression. The first category or group of people are innovators. Innovators are leaders with high self-esteem. They like to experiment and come up with new ideas. They're techno-savvy and forever looking to use or buy niche goods and products. They show all the 3 motivations of ideals, achievement, and self-expression in their lifestyle. They exhibit positive attitude to new ideas and development. So all kinds of new product developments or new product variations or line extensions are pitched at innovators. Then comes the category of thinkers. Thinkers are the educated lot. They use their knowledge and experience to seek functional benefits. They are mature and reflective. They use cognitive thinking in decision making as a consumer. They aim to satisfy rational motives like durability, price advantage, and value during purchase. They show motivations like ideals and resources. Next, we move on to the third type, and that is the believers. They depend on existing norms and codes of conduct while making decisions. They are conventional, mind you. They stick to tradition, often going in for tried and tested brands instead of a new product. So many of them remain loyal to a particular brand over a period of time. Their primary motivation is ideals and are driven by low resources. Next category or group of people is achievers. Achievers are dictated by success and acknowledgement. They're goal-oriented and are focused on family and careers. Their primary motivation is achievement driven by high resources. They are not willing to experiment if it leads to uncertainty or change. They prefer premium brands so as to project themselves as successful in front of their peers and social associates. Many of them buy iPhone for this simple purpose. The next category is of strivers. Strivers are upwardly mobile seekers of success. They are trendy and fun-loving. They tend to buy products that give a reflection of material wealth. Their primary motivation is achievement, but they have low resources. They have less disposable income and therefore pick specific product categories or types for purchase. They are very picky, mind you. Experiencers, they are fascinated by new, quirky, and unorthodox goods and services. The gratification of emotional needs like freedom of choice, identity, self-love, and entertainment is high. Their primary motivation is self-expression supplemented by high resources. They like to spend on entertainment, travel, parties, and fashion. The hospitality industry targets the experiencers. Then you have the interesting set of makers. Now, makers are involved with their family and social groups. They seek emotional motives like pleasure and entertainment, but with limited spending and restricted to family gatherings and close friends. They have low resources to satisfy their primary motivation of self-expression. They purchase basic goods and services for sustenance and self-sufficiency. Next we have is survivors. Survivors is the last of the 8 types of groups. They struggle to remain afloat in the needs versus purchase continuum. They have very less resources, hence are not driven by any of these motivations. So not much of advertising is directed towards survivors. Their lifestyle is centered around rational motives of safety and security. Hence, their purchases are guided by sales promotion offers, seasonal bargains, and discounts. Besides these 4 types of market segmentation, audiences can also be classified on the basis of their socio-cultural values and beliefs. Consumer clusters can be created based upon core cultural values, subcultural affiliations or memberships, and cross-cultural affiliations. So, cultural distinction is especially useful in selecting appropriate advertising appeals and creative elements. So in this lecture, we have looked at various types of market segments, the needs and the benefit of market segmentation, and the various subcategories of geographic, demographic, psychographic, and behavioral segmentation. Thank you.